Hello everybody, SeKo Starcraft here, bringing you some pro replays. Snakehips, which I don't know if anybody else has heard of. I haven't really heard of him before, but he's up against SeleCT, the always entertaining terran player, down here in the bottom right. And one of these new maps that came out recently with the new season that's going on here. I'm having myself a coffee, because I have to be competent here in the next little bit, so I'm not allowed to have any alcohol. Mostly involves driving. Don't drink and drive, or I'll hunt you down and beat you. So I'm having a coffee, enjoying a little bit of caffeine, and in the background I'm actually watching a little bit of UFC. St. Pierre versus Hendricks. Cheering for my boy, St. Pierre, Canada Pride. Yeah, coffee. So anywho, Snakehips. Now I've never heard of him before. Dig is a fairly new team, I think, unless they've renamed themselves. SeleCT getting a part of that, which is cool, picking up some cool talent. And I've only played this map a couple of times. It's essentially like a two-player version of, was it Star Station? That really massive four-player map. So essentially cut out a couple of people. And it's essentially just moved two expansions out of it. But everything else is essentially the same. Same Zelnaga watchtowers. Same basic expansion opportunities. And because it's such a long rush distance, it doesn't surprise me to see that SeleCT wants to go for a command center first. The interesting thing about this is because it is a two-player map, if the Zerg player wanted to rush for whatever reason, he could have because he knows exactly where his opponent is. And so he's not going to do that. So he's confident that he's going to be able to go toe for toe with SeleCT without getting some sort of crazy upfront advantage. And that's something that I've been toying with a bit, playing random ladder. If I know my opponent, I know where he's going to be, I've got this like weird temptation to just want to go and do something to throw him off his game. What do you think of the new balance changes? I was thinking the exact same things there, Snakehips. Considering it's going to be affecting SeleCT quite a bit. Maybe SeleCT doesn't have much to say about it. Harder for terran, I think. I would want to agree because of the widowmine nerfs, but I've still seen some great plays from widowmine players after the patches happened. And having all of your mech upgrades under one tree. The Muslim said widowmine nerf is buff for terran. That's an interesting way to think about it. I don't know if that's exactly what the Muslim would have said. I don't think that in that specific case is a buff. I think all in all, if you measured all the upgrades put together, the terran, I think, is a bit better off. A bit more versatile. Do more splash to terran marines. That's an interesting thought, actually, because of the true splash in a shorter range. Lol. Suppy was talking about it in ITG. In the game. I don't know if you guys watch In the Game. It's actually really, really fun. Bit of a talk show for Starcraft. Maybe someday I'll be big enough that they'll give me a shout and say, man, you gotta come do In the Game with us. And I could go and chat with the pro of the casting and play community. So those Zerglings came in, they saw what they needed to. We're gonna have a lot of extra queens coming out. I just hope. I disagree. Avilo. Doesn't get ranked. I'm reading these comments as much as you guys are there. And it's interesting hearing from the pros what they think about this, because it's still very based around the widowmine. It's not about this, well, we've got upgrades along the same path. We have tanks that shoot faster now. It's kind of interesting. I think the widowmine thing is a big nerf. But I think that the widowmine was, I'm not going to say it was overpowered, because I hate that term. It just brings so much baggage with it. But I do think that the widowmine is becoming really overplayed. What I do enjoy doing is, you guys watch some of my mech games, I love still using widowmines and just spreading them out as a bit of a scouting unit. Something to just kind of control space a little bit better. Tank mine seems potent. I like it. You put some mines near your tanks. If they go for drops, you snipe down the medevacs. If you've got a Thor nearby, I think one Thor shot and one widowmine shot will take out a medevac. I would consider it to be very, very effective. And it looks as though Well, we can't quite say for sure yet which direction. Well, yeah, now we can tell. We know that there's going to be bio coming out of our Terran player, regardless of what he thinks about the widowmine nerf. Evo chambers down a little bit later than the engineering bays. 13 drones. It's weird. I've seen a lot of different timings when it comes to Zerg players and when they want to get their upgrades out. I think that SeleCT is actually a bit more aggressive than most people would be at this stage with the upgrades. I see Terrans much more interested in getting out production, getting down a couple more barracks, and really pumping out numbers early on to help them deal with any type of roach baneling pressure that seems to be super common these days. And I've actually seen SeleCT lose, not, I'm going to say quite a bit because I don't watch a lot of his games, but I've seen him lose to roach baneling hyper-aggression because I think he goes for this more late game focus with those faster upgrades. That's a really healthy amount of creep tumors happening here. It's a big enough map, I think it warrants it. I don't think the Zerg player has to be too worried about getting down another hatchery just yet. He's got those 3 set pretty well. And that was always the good thing about Star Station. Well, got a little bit of damage in there. 5 kills, and he didn't lose any of his... At least I didn't see him lose any of those. I thought it turned out pretty nice. Spun crawl in the back. It'll always be useful at some point to deal with drops and so forth. But there isn't like this big resounding ling number out on the map right now to make these... make these Hellbats feel worried that they're going to get surrounded and killed off. A little bit of an unfortunate shot there. Got most of the extractor instead of the drones. Once again, it is a very interesting play out of Snakehips here. He's only got queens for defense essentially at this point. And moving straight into Spire. He is going to go Ling Baneling. But there aren't any Lings on the map essentially at this point. And that's a very interesting and risky style. Maybe he just knows SeleCT well enough that SeleCT is going to go for a really huge macro play before moving out into any type of pressure on the map. These Hellbats haven't been able to deny much for creep though. That being said. Let's look at the actual economy. 74 to 60. That's a pretty good amount for both players. SeleCT's still going to be producing a few more just to be able to make sure he gets up to that really healthy number. We're going to probably see the Zerg player starve here pretty soon. Snipes a creep tumor. With this many queens out on the map, I don't think it's too big of a deal. Would like to see him move these tumors. They've been here for a while. Zerglings are out. +1. 1 is finished. Terran players already got 2-2 started. That's actually a pretty good opportunity if 2-2 starts soon here for the Zerg player. This 2-2 is just started for the Terran. First bit of a push out here. Snakehips knows it's on the way. Good chunk of banelings, really good amount of banelings there. I think he really wants to crush this first attack. Afraid to find... Oh no! Oh man. That sucks. He actually really needed to hang on to those lings to grab the surround on his bio and hold it in place while his banelings crush forward. The mutas are out now, the banelings, lots of mutas on the way. Losing those lings I thought was a pretty big deal, but it looks like SeleCT is just going to move home after killing some creep. Not really wanting to engage much further. We do have some tanks in here. How many tanks he's got? He's got only 2 tanks actually mixed in with this and no widow mines. So no splash. If he does get into an engagement on creep here, he's probably just going to get steamrolled. Big time production happening right now for SeleCT. Just getting into that perfect composition he's going to need for pretty much the whole game. Now the problem, and I'm surprised he didn't take those mutas into the main base here. The problem for SeleCT right now is he's not pressuring the Zerg player. So these mutas technically could be wreaking huge havoc on his base. There's no defenses, no mines, no marines, and he sees this. So I'm actually very surprised these mutas aren't in the base doing more damage, causing the Terran just a bunch of discomfort here. Because there's no reason not to. Those mutas, that's really what they're designed for. You should be thinking of them as like a defensive unit. There he goes. Looks like he's finally going to do that. Let's see if he manages to get the... No, he's still a little hesitant here. See, it's keeping the Terran at home, pinned in. Really? You're going to focus down the command center? We just lose 3 or 4 mutas in that attack? What? PMG. Maybe he's having some issues or something right now with his control. Not too sure what that acronym is for. Yeah, go for those drops. Meters on this side of the map. And I love SeleCT's position. What should have happened, what I would have wanted to have happen, is a lot of muta harass, muta damage, keeping the Terran at home, and then when the Terran pushes out, catch him in this just a great position on this big creep spread that you've been able to amass. The creep spread has not really advanced that much further since the beginning of the game. Is he going base trady? This would be hilarious if he does. I don't know about this move. There isn't much splash damage, so this might work. Well, these need to be used. Okay, I'm actually very confused by this attack. Maybe this is what Snakehips wanted all along. Look at the supply from SeleCT. It's just plummeted. Holy crap, that worked out a lot. And, well, SeleCT had to come home to deal with this. But look at the carnage here. This turned out a lot better than I thought it would. Some Burrow Banelings probably be really sick. Leaving them on the ramp or something. No, don't lose the mutas. Don't lose the mutas. I like that decision by Snakehips in this game, but I just don't like his muta control thus far. Saving that hatch would be ideal. I'm surprised he is not trying to save that hatch. Or what? They'll kill that stuff. This is kind of a sloppy game by both players. I'm actually really surprised by how this is shaping up here. Throwing away a lot of mutas in this. Units killed. Control R. That's not what I wanted. I want to see exact units killed. Yeah. So the Zerg has lost a lot more. So, what can SeleCT do from this point here? He's still got some of his macro. Let's look at his actual worker count. He's 10. Well, he's kind of lost. I mean, he's going to keep trying to get back into his 3-3 is about to finish up. Obviously, that's going to help. Oh, no. That's so crappy. If it wasn't GG before, it's kind of GG now. Nice run around by the Lings there, trying to get us around. Let's see with these splits. Gotta be some Gosu splitting here. Those Marines are toast. Good scan to take out the Banelings. 14 workers. Nice. He's moving along. Well, SeleCT obviously feels like he can stick in this. He's down to a third of his opponent's supply. Base is underway. I'm still surprised he let that one die. He actually had units kicking around available to take care of that. Alright. I just watched Josh Koscheck get knocked the fuck out. Hated that douchey dude. He almost got his head taken off his shoulders. I don't know if anybody else out there is a fighting fan. Not much of a fighter myself. Did a little bit just to, you know, have a little bit of fun in training, but here's some good use of those mutas. Just do the damage you can. You're in the... No, don't lose them all. See those stims even. Look how much damage. There's no medevacs out here. He's just getting a starport down now. Causing so much damage to these units. He almost could take on those Marines if they weren't 3-3. Big run past here. Nice sniping on the tank. Goes through splits. Oh, one tank's still on the high ground, doing what he can. Gets one-shotted, essentially. I'm very surprised SeleCT is still in this. There he goes, GG. Now, that was very interesting. Like I said, very sloppy start to that game, but the decision to base trade was very compelling. Maybe because he knew there weren't widow mines in that composition, or he just knew how much army was on his side of the map. But that was a very interesting call to do that early in the game against a Terran player that can always lift buildings. Actually, pretty impressed with that. Good game by Snakehips. There's actually another game between these two that I'm probably going to be casting it pretty quick. Thanks everybody for tuning in. SeKo Starcraft. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Love to see a little bit more discussions from you guys as well. We'll talk with you later.